live custom streaming on YouTube channel. Folks will be joining us there as well. Yeah. Meanwhile, welcome everyone, and we'll be starting the program preview shortly. Awesome. I think we have folks who have joined us from YouTube as well. Let me share back my screen. Let me put this into full screen quickly. Awesome. I see a few introductions have already started coming in. I see Bishwa has joined us from Canada, Kamal from Hyderabad, India. I see Tuba has joined us from England. So welcome everyone. We'll be starting the session now, and meanwhile, you folks are still joining in. Let me just quickly give you an overview of the program quickly. So this program is powered by Simplilearn, world's #1 online bootcamp. We have been in the digital skills space for more than a decade now, and we are very proud that we have transformed lives by empowering people via these digital skills. And today the skill we'll be talking about is the cybersecurity skill. With the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp, we have advanced over 500,000 plus careers and in over 150 plus countries. We have 40 plus global accreditations and 800 plus qualified trainers who do an amazing job, with these programs here to upskill you. And quickly taking you through the ground rules here for the session. I'll share these ground rules on the chat as well in case you miss it, because I see the number is growing as folks are joining in. So there are a few quick and easy ground rules here for the session. So in case you have any questions, you can put down your questions in the Q&A box. And the session is being recorded. So in case you want to go through the recording of the session once again, in case you missed anything, you can expect a follow-up email with the recording link to view. And also for attending this webinar, there will be a webinar certificate, which you basically, can submit your details towards the end of the session with your full name, which I'll, nudge you once more during the session, that it is upcoming. And for that, you'll have to stay till the end. And this is how the certificate of participation will look like. Your name will be here. This is what we need from you, the full name. And also, this is the topic of the session, how we can unlock a world of cyber career opportunities in 2024 with the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp. And this will be basically shared by Simplilearn. And also, you can share the certificate on LinkedIn, tag our Simplilearn handle, and also our expert, William Bailey. A lot of folks are already doing that. And you can just quickly showing you how folks are doing it. They are actually sharing insights with their network. If they've learned something new, and are also taking screenshots, videos, and also sharing the certificates. And how you can find them, you can use the hashtag #SimplyGrow. I'll share that link. You can go and basically check out, people are following this hashtag as well, creating posts with it, sharing certificates and insights about the webinar. I'll share it on the chat shortly. So yeah, and just quickly going through the agenda of today's session. So the first and the most important agenda of today's session is about you, getting to know a little bit about you, how we can help you out in your cybersecurity career better. And the second agenda of today's session is about cybersecurity careers in 2024. And we'll be talking more about the cybersecurity careers and what exactly is happening in the cybersecurity space here as of today. And we'll be then moving towards the program preview for the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp. What exactly this program offers, how exactly this program gets you job ready. We'll be talking about the learning part of the program, the tools, the skills which are covered in the program, and also taking you through the learning environment of the program, giving you a glimpse of what happens in the program once you take it up. And based on the interest you share towards enrollment, we'll be taking you through the enrollment steps, and Bear will be sharing the program fee and the structure, and I also will be sharing the link towards the program where you can go and download the syllabus for your reference later on. And yeah, last but not least, the Q&A. So the Q&A is secured towards the end because we do get a lot of questions throughout the webinar, and we wouldn't want to miss any of the questions you have asked and would love to address all of them. So for that, it is kept towards the end. But in case in between, if time allows for our expert, we'll try to address it during the session. If not, just have a little patience and try to keep questions related to the topic of the session. And yeah, it will be an amazing webinar today. So as I mentioned that we'll start with getting to know a little bit about you. I see a lot of introductions on the chat here, from the folks, but we would also love to know how many years of experience do you currently have. So I'm just launching this quick poll, which basically says that how many years of experience do you currently have? Now, experience, general work experience we're talking about. And there are 4 quick options you can choose from. The first one here is currently studying, second one 0 to 3 years, and the third one 3 to 5 years, and the fourth one more than 5 years. I see most of you have started responding. Let's give it like 10 seconds more for the poll, for others also to basically, share the responses. So last 10 seconds for the poll. Awesome. Last 5 seconds for the poll here. How many years of experience do you currently have? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your responses here. Let me also share quickly. So let's see what have you voted for. So 60% of the attendance, 60% of the votes is for currently studying, 20% is for 0 to 3 years, and 15% is for more than 5 years, and 5% is for 3 to 5 years. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. It definitely helps our expert, have an understanding of like what kind of audience with an experience has joined us. So thank you so much, everyone. And we'll be starting with our speaker and expert introduction, William Bailey. A very good morning to you, William. And would like to quickly introduce you as well. So William here has 25 plus years of experience in information security, privacy, and risk. And he has been involved with ISAC and ISSA chapter boards, and he has been consultant with experience across financials, healthcare, retail, and utility sectors. And previously he has worked as a VP of information security for a financial institution. So William, welcome once again. I'm pretty sure the slide does not do justice to the amount of more than 2 decades of experience you have. So we would love to know it from you as well.
So yeah, I sometimes get asked how did I get my start, and we just thought that computers were fun. And then a few years into it, then we realized maybe we should be locking these computers down and securing them. And it's along the way, of course, you're always learning and trying to figure out what the next step is. It's one of the great industries where you don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to go necessarily a complete 4-year degree to work in cybersecurity. And then, of course, a lot of times people will get that job in cybersecurity, and that'll be a benefit of the employer. And that's oftentimes for folks a great way to do it. Let your employer pay for it. It's one of the areas where why would I be in cybersecurity? Because I'm not going to wake up and say that it's time to make the donuts, right? There's that old saying, time to make the donuts, where things are just the same old day in and day out. And cybersecurity is not that. It's always, I'll be teaching a class one time, and it's craziest things happen. We're talking about the water ISAC because it was one of the utilities. And so, give me an example. And I mentioned water ISAC, which is the safety and security of the water systems. And about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they had a boil water advisory because there was something wrong with the water in that city. People are like, you spoke about it. I'm like, what? There's always something interesting going on in cybersecurity. And so it just working with different clients, US, overseas. And of course, I've been involved with Simplilearn as one of the contracted trainers for what are we now, 10 years or something?
Thank you so much, William, for introduction. And I'm pretty sure folks are looking forward to the session today as well. So let's start with talking about the careers in cybersecurity in 2024. starting with the cybersecurity, how is it exactly it is playing a vital role in our business and personal lives.
Yeah, this is this study here. We had COVID-19 that came to fruition, or basically shut a lot of us down in March of 2020, and all of a sudden people were sending their staff home, and it just here's your computer, take it home. Here's a printer, take it home. We don't have a computer, go buy one at your local Best Buy or Micro Center or whatever. Just go buy it and get working. And what happened, that pandemic, the changes were rushed because they had to be, right? Businesses had to keep running. And what the CISOs and CIOs, the chief information security officers, chief information officers, they realized that they hadn't addressed all the risk. And that still holds true today. If anyone's been following the news this week, Wells Fargo fired at least 12 of their workers because they were somehow pretending to be working at home, and they were using some sort of trickery. They haven't specified exactly what yet, to make it look like they were working from home. So they're that's one of those risks. When you send people home, where are they? Right, remote work. And cloud adoption has always been a big issue. A lot of time, that was one of the things we saw actually. March and April of 2020 were all sorts of free offers of, yes, sign up for our service. And it's very easy to get into the cloud. And security is usually not job one. And then people find out that, what do they do with this cloud service? And what happens once you leave that cloud provider for some reason? So here, the CIOs and the CISOs, they're recognizing that they haven't really mitigated those risks. And as far as the Internet of Things, we're about to hit summer here in the United States, and you're probably hearing all the stories about your air conditioner. Is your air conditioner running, right? Keeping your house cool. Well, and how many of you already have a smart thermostat, right? The smart thermostats have been out now for over a decade. They connect to them via the internet, and so we have those going for us. We also have, of course, your vehicles, and people are like, "What do you mean, my vehicle?" I'm like, "No, your car is a rolling computer, and it is accessible, and they are contacting it, reaching into it." So you can go into, Toyota's one of the big ones that they have that service. GM's got their platform that you could start your car. And there's even a Hyundai commercial that the woman is remotely telling it looks like she's having the car remotely drive itself to her, because yes, everything's connected to the internet, and then you just have to think about the threat model of here, right? And it's like, well, are you going to defend it? Are you going to attack it? And as defenders, we think about those attackers and go, well, what could someone with malicious intent do? Why would they want to do that? What's the benefit from it? But that Hyundai commercial, it looks like she just uses her smartphone and the car drives itself to escape a bad day. And it's a little funny, but it underscores the fact of, you have your life is controlled. And if you can connect to it, then what's to stop someone else from connecting into it? And that's, of course, what keeps this, sometimes it keeps the CISOs up at night, and it should keep them up a little bit, right? And that's what really makes it a great career for the rest of us, because it's just, who would have thought, if you had said 20 years ago that your car was going to be connected to the internet and was going to drive itself, so your car could help you escape that bad date by using a smartphone application. So it is not going away anytime soon.
That's pretty interesting. It's kind of useful for such particular situations, right? Like having technology for sure. Fine. Moving on to the next slide, like talking about the hottest skills in the cybersecurity space in 2024.
So we have a whole wide range of skills here. And I know sometimes people say, well, okay, what's the top three? And it's actually, I find that we have a few pairs here that are related. And so, we always have to talk about zero trust, which is the opposite of everything we used to say was once you're on the network, it was all secure. So now, no, you're going to have to verify who you are. And that's your identity, what your access levels are, whether you have a right to be there on that network. And so we kind of see that pairing of the AI and the identity and access management and the Internet of Things security being really related because it's on the internet. It really shouldn't trust anybody, and it should have some sort of authentication. Of course, I can't not talk about AI and machine learning at this point. We see AI, machine learning, time and time again in the news, how it is speeding up access to information. But I think once you start reading about it, you see that sometimes AI will make up answers or AI can be lied to. And that's where cybersecurity professionals, you can't just rely on automation. Now, a lot of times we look at automation in security because we want to optimize our time. We want to get more done with less. And so, when you're thinking about AI, you have to think about what are the risks of that AI model. Are people putting their data into your model? Are you putting your data into some cloud-based model? And now, once it's out there, it's out there. And so you have to think about those data privacy and security concerns. And of course, I can't not talk about DevSecOps and secure coding because there is that saying, it's garbage in and garbage out. And a lot of times we see vulnerabilities. It's because the threat modeling wasn't complete, or it's because there's a vulnerability is discovered, right? And so someone accesses that system. And so coding in the first place goes a long way.
Thank you so much, William, for taking us through these skills. And now moving on to the careers, now that we've talked about the skills.
Yeah, so we have a whole wide range of skills. And when we look at something like this, there are some organizations that they'll bring you into like a service desk type of role, and that will sort of become that SOC analyst who's responding to those issues, the security issues like malware detection, and performing some sort of first level triage. Cybersecurity, you can work your way up. You start as those analysts, and then you could specialize in security concerns, or you could be concerned about threat intelligence or threat hunting. That's where you're looking for the outside threats and trying to find them proactively. You may become a security consultant or engineer, where you're elevating your role to a higher level. A lot of our systems are going to be cloud-based, so you could specialize in just cloud security. But you heard me mention earlier the threat intelligence and threat modeling. Any sort of organization, you're building your infrastructure. You're a defender. Sometimes they would call you part of the blue team if you're a defender, right? If you're a SOC analyst or a security consultant or the security engineers or the security analysts, you're defending an organization. And you have to have a degree of that threat mindset of what are the potential issues that could happen. And that's where those penetration testers, those ethical hackers, that's where they live. That's their job. They understand how systems are secured, and then they go, well, how could I break that? What are the common weaknesses that I could? Yeah, the difference, the penetration testers are not criminals. They're not the malicious actors. You sign a non-disclosure agreement with these folks. They use the same skill set as the malicious actors would use, but they're working on your behalf. And they tell you about these systems. They tell you about the vulnerabilities that they find on your systems so that your defenders can defend against them. So that hopefully you can avoid being on the front page of the paper.
Thank you so much, William, for taking us through the career paths in cybersecurity. Now, moving on, what's exactly changing in the cybersecurity space in 2024 and beyond?
Well, yeah, when we talk about what's changing in 2024, And in fact, we've got some of the some breach information. Again, this is like why we have job security. And we, uh, I don't want to give too much away, but we had a major software vendor admit that their software had vulnerabilities in it. And there have been some reports about their software, which actually was a cascading vulnerability. Now, a lot of times software gets, the supply chain refers to, I'm relying upon a third party to provide something, and they're providing software, they're providing a service, or they're providing hardware, right? So, there was a computer manufacturer allegedly that had an issue, Supermicro. Foxconn would be an example of a supplier to Apple, because Apple, it's not an Apple factory, it's a Foxconn factory. We've seen this with the electronics for years, that someone else would manufacture it and it would be to specification. So that's that supply chain. Now, ransomware, we see that advertised on the news, and that you'll say, oh, okay, so-and-so had a ransomware. It's United Healthcare, not United Healthcare, it was Change Healthcare, which is a division of United Healthcare. I want to make sure I say that right. Someone say, no, it wasn't United. You're right. It was Change, which is a division of United Healthcare. But they were victim to a ransomware attack. I was teaching a class in Minnesota, and they were, yes, we have an encryption event. And of course, why is this evolution happening? Well, because it pays for itself. So this is, again, it's never going away anywhere, because someone gets breached. And of course, usually what happens is they get breached. The malicious actor gets a foothold. The malicious actor is sending information, because they're going to sell that information or threaten to sell that information. And once they've gotten all the information, once they've achieved their core action on their, the objectives, then they encrypt your drives. They encrypt your systems. And, if it's not been architected properly, there have been some companies that find that their backups are encrypted too. And of course, you pay them. So you just perpetuated that. If you've been looking at the news, you've seen Microsoft Copilot making some big news, big waves. You go into your web browser, it talks about AI. The new Apple iOS release is going to have AI. The Samsung phones have AI, which is really, you see that incredible effect that you can do with that you can hone in on a picture and it just automatically calculates everything. And we're seeing that all the security vendors are using AI. So we're seeing this artificial intelligence and machine learning really taking hold. That's one that just came out of nowhere for over the last year. Really, it was something that was there, and then all of a sudden we've now just seen it mushroom. Now, I said earlier about zero trust, which is the concept of, if you connect to the network, it used to be if you connected, we assumed that you were able to connect and therefore we could trust you. Well, no, now I'm not going to trust you. I'm not going to trust the switches. I'm not going to trust the servers. They're not going to trust the workstations, the endpoints, the cloud services, you name it. Why? Oh, look up above, ransomware evolution, right? Well, how does ransomware spread? From computer to computer. How does it come in? Via a rogue computer, one of those type of schemes. So that's why we don't trust people by default. We make you verify who you are. And what we're seeing, I skipped over the regulatory updates, and that's really the one. The regulations serve as the low water mark for security. But what we're seeing is, because of all these breaches, because of AI, because of ransomware, because of supply chain issues, we're seeing regulators jump in. And they'll do it either from a privacy standpoint and make sure that if you're collecting information about individuals, that you're treating it properly, or if you're or just the sensitive information, that you're keeping that protected. And actually, we don't have a slide for it, but I don't know if anyone here is a customer of AT&T. What was really shocking, it was like 7 point some million current customers and like 65 million previous customers. So you're seeing regulators jump in and go, well, that's not right. If they've left your company, why do you still have that information? Why are you not protecting it? And needless to say, black eye for AT&T. But so that's that's the key of what's changing here. I think what's our next slide here? We've got I think we go into the 23andMe breach, and even though this is December of 23, we still bring it up. Why? People, we've now, and this is where you're seeing that cross-reference with other industries. Law and Order, it was Law and Order SVU, the Special Victims Unit. They were actually using DNA databases to track down criminals, to track down victims, because of the DNA is very specific healthcare data. And so, yes, you'd like to know that what country you came from. You'd like to know what illnesses you may face later in life. Well, it's valuable for you, but it's also valuable for the criminals. And so, because you can't change your own healthcare information, you can't, right? I can get a new credit card number, but I can't change my DNA. It is part of who I am. And so, at the time we wrote this up, was 30 lawsuits so far, and still going. And this is one of those identity and access management, credential stuffing. They breached another site. They got a list of passwords, and then they used it on 23andMe and got in too. I think that logo failed. Now this is one of those supply chain issues, and it was implemented. Lenovo got a bit of bad press about this, but really it potentially affects 95% of computers that are using this UEFI, which is that very low level. If you ever power your system off and then power your computer back on, and you see that screen, and it has that, Dell or Lenovo or whatever brand computer you use, HP, right, or even Apple, right? They have these logos, and it had to do with vulnerabilities in how they parse that image. And then this could be exploited by other bugs. Now, you did have to have physical access to the device in order to exploit this. But, nobody anywhere, think like a threat actor, nobody anywhere knows where to get a UPS uniform or an Amazon uniform. Oh, wait, I could probably find them on eBay. I could find or I can create something that looks like FedEx, UPS, Amazon. Or now it's even worse, right? Because now we've got contractors. The contracted, like, what is it? Amazon and Walmart are two retailers in the US. They'll hire contractors who use their own cars, and they may or may not be wearing the official apparel. So that physical access, maybe they can get in. And this gets troublesome because the ability to fix it depends upon the vendor. And does the vendor want to give you an update? Does the vendor not want to give you an update? We run into a problem a lot of times with end of life. And I saw this in healthcare years ago. The system would be end of life, but it would cost so much to replace it, they just kept using it. Or you look at, if you have a Samsung phone, the Samsung will support your phone. 4 years for software updates, 5 years for security. And if you don't buy the phone right away, you start to you put yourself on the end of that tail. And some cell phone vendors are like a year or two at most, like Lenovo. Like if I buy, they'll sell me a 2023 phone, and I'm going to get one update one operating system update, and then, like, once it goes from, say, Android 14 to Android 15, maybe they can't fix it anymore, and that's where that end of life becomes an issue, because the technology keeps going on and on and on. And how many of us actually check that our cable modems, our broadband routers, our Wi-Fi routers? How many of us actually update those, the firmware on those? So regulation. We mentioned regulations are changing. In the United States, there's lots of different laws that tend to be based on a sector of industry or based on a state. And the SEC, this one is a little bit broader reaching because it is actually, if you're publicly traded, the Securities and Exchange Commission, you have to file certain reports. And Loan Depot got to be one of the first people to do this because they had a breach and they had to announce it on January 8th of 2024. And at that time, they knew it was 17 million customers. They could not process payments over the phone. They had to call. They could not use their website. And class action lawsuits followed right behind that, right? And what's scary, this is now, if you're publicly traded, these 8Ks, they're freely available. You can go to this website and you can read that they'll tell you what they know at that time. And so now they can't keep it secret for a long period of time. And I'm trying to think, our next slide, I think, is one of the new ones that just came out this past week. Yes, it is. So the report was actually from April. So the United States Cyber Safety Review Board had this report, and the report in April talked about a cascade of avoidable errors. They said, whoa, Microsoft, you've made mistakes. And allegedly, the Microsoft network was breached by Chinese hackers. And then once the network was breached, then email accounts of senior U.S. officials were compromised. Remember a few slides ago, we mentioned, we talked about criminal actors, and I believe we talked about nation states, and that's one of our other key actors we're seeing. We have, China, Russia definitely gets a lot of press for having nation state actions. We've seen it with Russia and Ukraine. Cyber is being dragged into their war. There are long cases like Stuxnet, which somehow somebody knew exactly what kind of centrifuge was used there. That takes some sort of central intelligence agency of some sort. It's that level of national security. So now, Brad Smith testifies. He says, we acknowledge we can, we must do better. That's great. There should be a lot of jobs at Microsoft now, because they realize they have to do something about this. There's another article that's just now floating around that talks about the culture within Microsoft. And allegedly, Andrew Harris reported a vulnerability. It became referred to as Golden SAML, and it was for the Active Directory Federation Services. That if you had an organization that you had joined, like mergers and acquisition, you could trust your other sister organization. And apparently there's a vulnerability in that. And that vulnerability apparently served as basically the entry point for the malicious actors to get into SolarWinds, compromise SolarWinds, and SolarWinds is a producer of network management software solutions. So you could remotely manage your server that's on the other side of the country. And you don't have to go there. You could just remotely connect to it, get all of its statistics, control it, make it, automate it, and so forth. So obviously, if you can get yourself into SolarWinds, and now everybody else trusts this SolarWinds application, that's how that became very scary. All right. And I didn't want to open the actual links here, but it's not my opinion. These are actually published articles that are out there. I wanted to make sure you could actually refer to this, because a lot of people say, "Oh no, that doesn't happen," and that's a defender's problem, right? It never gets boring, because they're like, "No, that's never going to happen." Oh no, and I'm like, "Nope, let me have that article ready." I've been on contracts where someone says, well, we have a nice big secure facility, and we have this big gate, and we have this big burly security guard, and we have badges, and we have another set of doors, and nobody would ever do anything. And then I go over to the side, I'm sitting back listening to the argument, and I find my link that talks about the National Guard reservist who was selling information because he thought he was in love with this woman who knows who she was, right? But people do this. They get compromised, and so this is not doom and gloom. These are real things. And in fact, when I'm talking with folks, I'll say, look at the news. And these days you can watch a newscast and you hear at least one cyber related story somewhere in that newscast. Something cyber related, right? This morning is Wells Fargo and the fact that brokers are trying to trick Wells Fargo into thinking they're working. Well, that's because they got these little, actually, I know what they are. They're, and I can't quite pull it out here. I have one of these actually. It's a mouse jiggler. And it moves the mouse. And FINRA takes offense to that for some reason. Because where did I get that mouse jiggler? Now start thinking like a threat actor. Well, did I buy it from eBay? Or did I buy it from some other drop ship from another country? Does it come with friends? Right? What is on it? Right? You wouldn't pick up candy off the ground, but people will buy things off the internet and they come with little surprise friends. So Microsoft obviously has got a bit of work to do.
Totally agree with that. I think if it can happen with Microsoft, it can happen with anyone. And definitely, I think, William, you have talked about so many of these attacks, happening. We are talking about current attacks, but it has happened historically as well, right? So just one question, like how have these attacks, helped in developing more jobs in the market? I think you mentioned that Microsoft definitely needs more people, like, right? But how is it helping? Like these attacks are happening, is it also bringing more cybersecurity jobs for folks in the market?
Well, absolutely, because you've got the defenders, and then you've got the ethical hackers, and then you also have governance, risk, and compliance, and you have auditors because it happened once, and now we have to look for it again. So like at Wells Fargo, they're going to have some stepped up efforts because they found 12 in this go round, and when you find 12, what does that mean? You've got more because you did a sample. You found 12, you're going to step up that audit. You're going to look for more. And it's possible. And it's a game of cat and mouse. These breaches are getting bigger and bigger. One of the first ones, the Morris worm, just wanted to prove it was possible. And now we've monetized it. We've made it part of a military campaign. So you're going to see defenders stepping up their game. You're going to see security assessments stepping up their games to carry out very similar type of exercises, so that you can avoid being the next Microsoft, Loan Depot, go down the list there, all those different firms that have been breached. Because, and especially with supply chains, it's really problematic. I remember one of the clients I worked for, did some work for. I saw their name show up in a newspaper, and I paused. And I thought to myself for a moment, and I think I saw the word of the vendor. I said, wait a minute. Let me go look up the newspaper in another town. Oh no, they had a breach also. I remembered the vendor's name. And I'm not saying who it is. I mean, the breaches are both public knowledge, but it was a supply chain issue where both organizations were using the same cloud-based provider. And it was a cloud-based provider that was breached, and this is not going away because now an organization, it's once you become aware of something, you then have to pay attention to it, and so that's you're not going to see this die down. Like if you're driving your car and in a winter storm or a heavy rainstorm, and you see somebody slide off, what do you have to do? You now have to drive safer. And we've seen for years, insurance companies would say, well, wait, you saw an accident, so you now should know you need to do extra. You need to do your due care, right? You do due diligence when you're merging with somebody or acquiring somebody. Do care on a regular basis. And so now I know these breaches are possible. Organizations have to take steps. And as much as AI tries to automate it, somebody says, oh, don't worry, AI takes care of it. AI is perfect automation, but AI doesn't like to be wrong. So AI has actually had a few cases where it's made up answers. So it's like, oh yes, I'm going to tell you X, Y, Z. It was one of the law briefs or something referred to a bunch of other cases. It had just made them up. So it looked authoritative, but it was wrong. So, so artificial intelligence is not going to replace us. It's one of the many tools in our toolbox. And yes, the careers are they're we're going to see cybersecurity careers grow because our whole life is surrounded by technology. We have just gone from very few of us work on paper. We use technology day in and day out. So this is not a road bomb. This is becoming the new norm.
Thank you so much, William, for answering that. Now that we have talked about cybersecurity and careers and skills and what exactly is happening in the cybersecurity space, we have talked about a lot of breaches and attacks as well, giving the example of recent ones and how exactly they are actually helping us creating more new jobs in cybersecurity field. So we would love to know what exactly is stopping you from becoming a cybersecurity expert. I'm just launching a poll. This one is a multiple choice poll, so you can select multiple options because there can be multiple challenges or concerns you might be facing, right, when it comes to pursuing a career in cybersecurity. So I'll just read out these options for you. Meanwhile, while you folks have already started voting in. So the first option here is I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. And the second option here is I don't have the practical exposure I need to become job ready. And the third one, I find difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. And the fourth one, my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. So these are the options for you. And yeah, let's give it like a few seconds for the poll. So for a few of the folks who are still responding, can go and respond quickly. And folks who are watching us live on our YouTube channel, you can also let us know by sharing your responses on the YouTube live chat box. And if these are not your concerns, the Q&A box is open for you. You can let us know by dropping us your queries in the Q&A box. Just make sure to elaborate your questions for our speaker. So that will be really helpful. And we have actually already started getting some interesting questions there. So we are really eager to address your queries, but we'll wait it towards the end of the session. That is the Q&A, and we'll try to address it there. So, yeah. Thank you so much. I see most of you have already responded. So last 5 seconds for the poll. What is stopping you from becoming a cybersecurity expert? So last 5 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll and also share the results with you folks and William here. So I see 57% of you have voted for I don't have the practical exposure I need to become job ready. Makes sense. And 35% of you have voted for I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. And 17% of you have voted for I find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. And 17% of you have voted for my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That definitely gives us and our speaker understanding of the challenges you might be facing. Now moving on to the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp introduction. So the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp comes with a comprehensive curriculum and an industry-aligned learning path. We'll be deep diving into the learning path of the program and talking about what exactly this program covers, and also covering what are the tools, libraries, and platforms this program also covers, what are the skills which this program provides you with, and also we have integrate labs and hands-on from projects for practical experience. So I think the highest amount of votes we have gotten for the practical experience option, right? So this program actually gives you that hands-on experience with the amount of projects which we have. So what exactly are these projects and how exactly are these projects helpful? We'll be talking more about that in the upcoming slides. And the format of the program is online, and but it is an online live virtual classroom where you actually get to attend these live virtual classes and interact with not only your instructor but also your peers as well. And it's quite interactive. We will show you the learning environment of the program as well to give you an understanding of what exactly happens when you take up the program. So what exactly Simplilearn provides as well, so we'll be showing you that. And this program duration is of 6 months. So we can just give like 5 to 10 hours per week to complete this program and become a cybersecurity expert. Now talking about the Caltech CTME advantage here. So the California Institute of Technology is a 130-year-old institution. It is a home of an alma mater of many Nobel laureates. Would love to know if any of you actually have heard about Caltech or know about Caltech. You can just reply by saying yes or no in the chat. I can also give you a hint that if you have watched The Big Bang Theory and you know where the scientists actually went to, most amazing scientist in the world like went to was Caltech actually. So if you have watched that series, you actually will know about Caltech. That is the university they went to. So again, like it is a home and alma mater of many Nobel laureates, and it ranks consistently in the top 5 universities worldwide. And having a Caltech CTME on your CV is a prestigious accomplishment recognized worldwide. So more about the program, but before that, we'll quickly go through the learning environment of the program.
Okay. So let me dive my screen. Yep. Okay. Let me change here. Nope. All right. If you stop sharing your screen, I'll share my screen.
Maybe we can also go to the learning environment after we are done with the learning path. Is it okay? Like,
Okay, you can do that too. Yep.
I think, yeah. Yeah, so folks will be going through the learning environment, but before that, we would love to give you an understanding about the learning path and also the tools covered in the program and the projects. I think that will really help you. But before that, talking about the eligibility and the prerequisites about the program. So you need to have a basic knowledge of programming concepts and mathematics, and you need to be at least 18 years of age or older and have a high school diploma that is required. And also no prior work experience is required, but if you have it, that definitely acts as an advantage, right? Anywhere you work, definitely any kind of professional experience does help you in any kind of career you want to pursue further, right? And also moving on to the next agenda, how exactly this program prepares you. So we'll start with the learning path. So William, if you can take us through how exactly this program by Caltech, builds the cybersecurity skills for learners step by step, starting with the induction for the Cybersecurity Bootcamp by Simplilearn, then moving on to the fundamentals.
Yep, sure, absolutely. And I'll talk. There's a question in there asking about programming. We'll talk about that as we walk through this. And another question here, is asking, oh, are there free courses or boot camp? I'll talk as I go through this. When you get free courses or boot camps, you have to look at them very carefully and be sure of what you're getting. Be sure of what you're learning from. Although it's not technology related, I was repairing my washing machine, and so I turned to YouTube. I went, "Oh, YouTube, help me fix my washer." And I watched 2 videos on how to fix that washer, and they were both wrong. They had enough pieces that I was able to figure it out. But if I had just watched the YouTube video, the one said I could go into the bottom, and the other one said I could just take it right from the top. And I had to look at it and figure out how to solve it. So, here the curriculum is vetted. That's one of the biggest things of, the curriculum is vetted. And so we start with the induction to make sure that everybody's on the same language, like what's a threat, what's a vulnerability, what's an exploit, what's a risk, threat actors, threat modeling, understanding those terms, because sometimes everybody just says, oh my gosh, it's a breach. Oh my gosh, everything's a risk. So we get on that same language, and we get you the cybersecurity fundamentals. Now, of course, in that induction, you're part of a cohort that's going for 6 months. So you get to know your classmates. And so that, you get to know your classmates, your cohort mates, you understand the cybersecurity fundamentals. And then each one of these courses leads you down the path where a lot of you probably don't work with Linux. And so we'll see, asset and inventory management. Oftentimes Linux, this is your first time seeing it. How do you navigate a Linux system? And then we talk about the different pieces of a network, switches and routers and firewalls and IDSs and IPSs, and how do they connect, and what kind of things could you do at those different levels? Someone had asked a question about programming, and I think we have a slide that says you need to understand logic. And I like to think of computing sales tax or a tip, and what's the logic of that? Like the old logic used to be that the tip was off the food, not the food plus the sales tax, and so that would be that logic and that's the key skill that you need to be able to write code. Is you should understand the logic of how things are performed so you can put the steps in the right order. We use Python because Python is used for automation. Python is it's included or you can add it. It's included in Linux, and the distributions, and in Windows, it's very easy. You can install Python and run scripts. So it's a great language. And then, of course, you want to go off to Go or Rust or Ruby or anything like that. You could take it's a transportable skill set. And then we go into Windows, but we're not going to go into Windows like your desktop. We're going to go into Windows like your servers and Active Directories, and understand how you're configuring group policies and update services in Windows. And now because now we're getting your well-rounded knowledge. The last two courses, well, the offensive security is sometimes called red teaming. How do you break into things, right? How do you use and actually do this in a lab environment? How do you break into systems? And then you see, okay, oh, I was able to do this. I was able to log in. I was able to get access. I was able to pivot, go from one machine to another machine. And of course, you're doing this in labs. And then the last course, we have the defensive or blue team. You know how to break into it, and now you know how to defend against it. So you get that appreciation of both. And you have a capstone project at the end of the blue team course that you basically take your skills that you've developed, and as you're going through this, you're completing assessments that are evaluated, and those can go into your portfolio for your job search. And I guess that's another, someone has said, what about, what else do I want to do? Well, you want to practice that. And those of you, someone said, I'm a 50-year-old person transitioning into cybersecurity. Can I? Yes. I'm information security. Can I go to cybersecurity? Absolutely. This is just, this is getting you that cyber knowledge, which is that bits and bytes technology type piece. And it's absolutely possible to transition into cybersecurity. In fact, oftentimes we find you'll have a non-cyber job, but you know the business. And ironically, to do good cybersecurity, one of the other skills is to know your business. So a lot of folks we find will just transition from their current role into a cybersecurity type of role. Right? And of course, you have access to electives of office hours, meeting with instructors, trainers, myself, or whoever your trainer is for your cohort. For the projects, we have project hour sessions. We also have master classes that you can attend, and those are optional. I always sort of cry a little bit when we offer those project hours and then no one is there. I'm like, well, I'm here, I'm available, but because it's for you. It's not for for us, and that's something to make sure if you need that extra little bit, sort of that nudge. We'll do an office hour, and sometimes we'll just meet for like 30 minutes with a learner, and that's it. It's like, oh, okay, I hit this roadblock. Thank you, and by troubleshooting it, now they can also take that troubleshooting practice they've gotten and work the rest of the way through, because it's a real lab environment. It's a fully functional Linux, Kali, Windows, Snort, forensic workstation. These are fully functional systems that you're working with.
Yeah, and we also have Caltech CTME cybersecurity masterclasses as well. So again, I think already William has mentioned that electives are optional, but they do come as a part of the program. In case you want to opt for it, we do have the option for that. We'll be sharing that with you in the learning environment, what exactly it looks like as well. And we also have global leaders as program advisors. Rick Hefner here, who's the Caltech CTME program director. He has over 40 years of experience in systems development and has served in academic, industrial, and research positions. They basically make sure that Simplilearn is delivering as per standards of Caltech here. And moving on to the learner outcomes. So interestingly, the previous classes of learners have consisted of learners coming from world-class organizations like Microsoft, Amazon, Netflix, Oracle, Adobe, NASDAQ, just to name a few of them among thousands of them. And also industries like IT, software, product, BFSI, healthcare, and and also Simplilearn provides job assist services. We have this in partnerships with Talent Inc. Here you get access to the job portal, Resume Rabbit with a wide employer network with a verified job search. And also we get access to the resume review and rewrite services once you're done with the program. This is in partner with Top Resume, where you get assigned an SME who actually helps you preparing the resume based on the skill set and job role you're applying for. And there is also a continuous feedback session, and you should usually get the resume, basically with you up to 2 weeks. So that is the amount of time it takes. And also, how can we miss the interview, right? Interview prep pack. So we also have one-on-one interview services, which is in partnership with Top Interview. Similarly, just like resume and SME is assigned to you to practice with, based on the skill set or job role you're applying for. And also there is continuous feedback there as well. So, yeah. So moving on to the learning environment of the program. So now that we have covered already, what exactly the program offers, William, and also what are the tools covered, what are the electives here. Let's quickly show them the learning environment of the program as well. Let me stop sharing my screen so you can go ahead and share your screen.
Right.
Meanwhile, William is sharing his screen for the learning environment. We are open to your questions about the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp in the Q&A box. So please do that. Let us know if you have any questions.
So I've queued up a few screens here. I've already logged into the LMS, which you'll log into to access your curriculum. And if you're enrolled in more than one program, you would see them in this list here. And so, like I say, go to program. Then I come over here, and these are those courses. Remember, I said cybersecurity fundamentals, and we worked our way up. All right, so these are all those courses there. And it's you get the progress bar as you're completing the courses. You get a certificate as you're going through the program. You get a certificate for each course, and then when you get to the very end, if you meet the criteria, the completion criteria, then you get the program certificate for the whole program. So let's go in. So let's say I go into one of these classes here, and in this case, I picked on the Offensive Security Red Team class. And so, because the sessions are, right, we have live sessions 3 times a week. And there's also the self-learning here that you can refer to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Talks about the material at a high level. Of course, one of the things that makes it unique is going to be these activities that we have here, this exercise here. That you'll actually complete these exercises, so you're not just listening to someone do it, you actually jump into a lab to do it. Right now my lab is a white screen, but now what I want to impress upon you is that the labs, when you access the labs, I like to think of them as a set of labs. So like in this course, I may have a Kali workstation, Ubuntu workstation, another Ubuntu and or a Windows workstation. I could theoretically have like up to 5 machines in this lab that now I'm following this exercise, these activities in a lab environment. But it's not just scripted. It is a fully functional machine, and you could change the steps that you're taking. So it's a really good learning environment in that respect. And the other thing, of course, I guess here, I got to make sure I point out, are the assessments. And you'll have some assessments which are multiple choice questions, pretty straightforward. You're going to also have assessments like the penetration testing problem, where you'll go into the lab environment, you complete a series of steps, you'll complete a document. And that's one of those that you complete the assessment, you upload it, it gets reviewed, and you get feedback on it. And then it goes in your work, in your portfolio for when you're looking for work. So that's great. Those of you who are transitioning, and actually I still get asked, I could be in the field for 25 years. I still get asked, do you have a sample policy? Do you have a sample report? So having that portfolio is wonderful. And this was another one. Oh, this was just, I wanted to show, yeah, this is just another course here. Okay. So we have these assessments, we have these logs. And the very last thing here, this is actually not in the web browser, this is Slack, right? So we have these Slack forums, and so the Slack forums, like I as an instructor would post material out here. So I'm supplementing the material sometimes, trying to condense it down a little bit, sort of compare different platforms. And we're vendor agnostic to a large part. So, it's like, okay, well, here's CrowdStrike, here's Microsoft, here's, XYZ. You can use this Slack environment to communicate with other members of your cohort, to communicate with your trainer, your faculty member, as you go through the program, right? So that's that, and you have the ability to jump on a voice call. So it's, you can send messages back and forth. and you also can start a huddle with your instructor. And of course, if you're doing the capstone project with the group, you could get a couple people together on that huddle. And I think that's everything we need to show here. Here's that link where I would go to get that certificate in the LMS over on the left-hand side. Right. So let me stop sharing and transfer back to you, Rasha.
Sure. Thank you so much, William, for taking us to the learning environment. Also, now we actually were talking about the jobs, right, in the market as well. So why not show like real-time numbers of, what are the cybersecurity jobs? Let's see mostly for global or US region. I think I'll just open dice.com and search for cybersecurity here quickly and see like as of today, what are the number of jobs which are available in the market. So this will only be, I think, showing for mostly for the US region, but folks can go and check it out yourself for your own regions as well. So this has more than 4,700 jobs as of today in the cybersecurity market, ranging from cybersecurity engineer and a security control assessor. Like there are different range of jobs as well, right? Cybersecurity engineering and from companies like Nexagen, Jobot. So yeah, cybersecurity engineer, senior cybersecurity engineer roles. Again, like there are plenty of such roles which are available, like you can check out yourself. So these are the demands right now currently. And moving on to the slide back. So we have covered the program. So what exactly we'll be getting from the program, just to sum it up, because we have talked about a lot of things. So you'll be getting a Caltech CTME Bootcamp certificate. You can see it here. This will be from the California Institute of Technology for Center of Technology and Management Education. And this will be certified to you for completing this cybersecurity bootcamp. And you can see the accreditations here will be from Caltech. And you'll be getting to work on hands-on projects and integrate labs. And also you'll be receiving up to 26 CEUs from the Caltech CTME, that is equivalent to 260 hours of learning credits. And also you get to be a part of the Caltech CTME Circle membership. So once you're done with the program, you also get to be a part of this Circle membership, which is great for, networking even after the program, right? And also career as a services, which we have in partnership with Talent Inc. And also, interestingly, there is an online convocation. So where not only you can invite your closest friends or family, but also your far relatives and family as well. That makes it much more memorable and special, right? So yeah, with this, we would love to know your interest in the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp. So are you interested in enrolling into the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp? I'll just quickly launch this poll on screen where you can quickly go and share your responses as yes to share your interest. And I'll take you through the enrollment steps after this, and we'll be quickly moving to the Q&A after that as well. I know I can see a lot of interesting questions here, and we'll just address those questions during the Q&A. Let's give this poll a few more seconds because I see most of you have responded, but a lot of you are still responding. And also folks who are watching us on our YouTube live channel right now, you can also go and share your response by clicking on the link which is there on the description. You'll find the link towards the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp on the top of the description of the live YouTube video right now. And if you're watching us later as well, you can use the same link and go to the link of the program page and share your few details for enrollment interest. And follow the same enrollment steps which I'll be sharing. Let me also, while you're responding, let me also just quickly show you the program page here and share with you the program page link as well. So this is the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp. This is where you can go and download the syllabus. I share this link here. You can go and basically download the syllabus from here as well later on. And you also will be receiving these details over your mail as well. So in case you want to check it out later as well, you can keep an eye for an email from us with the details about the bootcamp and how you can download the syllabus as well, much more, all the things which we have already covered. So yeah, this is the learning part, all the things which we have covered, and the hands-on projects, which we have talked about already as well. So yeah, moving back to the slide. So last 10 seconds for the poll. Are you interested in enrolling into the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp? You can share your responses yes into the poll which is live right now. And a lot of you are saying yes on the YouTube live chat box. Please go to the description of this YouTube live. And on the top itself, you will see the program page link, which I've just shown you. And you can quickly go and share your few details like email, phone number. And yeah, the learning consultants from Simplilearn will get in touch with you and onboard you into the programs here. Last 5 seconds for the poll. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I see the poll is still moving. So let me give 10 seconds more so you folks can go and quickly respond. Also, William, I see we have exceeded the time by a few minutes. Is it okay? We can just take 5 more minutes just to close the Q&A, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I think I've answered a few of the Q&A. We'll take a quick spin through that.
Sure. Last 5 seconds to the poll here. I see most of you have responded already. So last 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll. Thank you so much for sharing your responses there. Now quickly taking you through the enrollment steps of the program here. So there are 3 simple, easy steps you'll have to follow. Basically, once the learning consultants get in touch with you from Simplilearn, this is the three easy steps they will actually make you follow. So I'm just giving you an overview of what exactly is going to happen next, so you're aware of it. So step 1 here is you'll have to submit an application and have to apply at askus@simplilearn.net. Step 2 here is we'll be reviewing your qualifications based on the eligibility and prerequisites criteria which we have for the program, which I've shared with you in the starting. And based on that, you'll be getting admissions offer from learning consultants for Simplilearn. And talking about the next upcoming cohort. So the next upcoming cohort is on 15th of July. And the fee here for the US region is $8,000. And we also have EMI and financing options available. The link which I've shared on the chat, if you click on that, if you go to the fee section, it will show you the partners we have for financing options in case you're not able to pay that immediately. And also, if you're a working professional, you can ask your tuition employer for a tuition reimbursement as well. So we do have limited seats as this cohort is almost full. But yeah, like if you're looking forward to joining, the program and on 15th of July, so you can definitely, basically join this particular cohort. And even after this webinar, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at askus@simplilearn.net. Now moving on to the Q&A. I think a lot of you have been waiting for that eagerly. So this is a really good time in case you have not put down questions, please do put down questions. And over to you, William. I think William have answered few of them already, but yeah, I think we can summarize it quickly, all the questions we have.
Yep. So one question says programming language. Python is Python's an easier scripting language. It's easier than Java. Somebody I said a couple times, what's the difference between information security and cybersecurity? Cybersecurity has to do with the technology elements of it, whereas information security is actually a broader topic. Because information goes on paper, as an example, right? Do you need to have deep knowledge about machine learning and AI? I don't want to make absolutes. If you choose to adopt that as your specialization, then well, yes, because you're specialized in that field. But you should know what AI and ML is, but you don't necessarily need to become a deep expert. Cybersecurity professional to get an organization to start with. Well, I said before, if you're working for a company now, you could try to transition into a cybersecurity role. Sometimes I have seen some folks, they have to take that service desk role. There's some organizations that they're very adamant that you have to start your way from the service desk or the security analyst type, SOC analyst type role. But they definitely can be done. And in fact, if you can relate to the organization, that would make it easy to make that transition as well. All right, let's see what else. So there were some questions about engineering. It could be helpful with reverse engineering, some malware analysis, because you understand the ones and the zeros and the voltages and things of that sort. That's why I find a lot of those engineering courses are that you could design a system, and if you could design a system, you could reverse a system. So there's definitely a degree of forensics that engineering applies for. What skills and knowledge are necessary for a career in cybersecurity? For a second, I was going to say speak, but I have to listen, because I really shouldn't speak until I listen. And that, I think, kind of wraps everything up, because sometimes you've got a technical issue and you have to listen for the question and then go out and find the answer. And that's probably the most important skill. And that's why it's easy to transition into cybersecurity, because if you can listen, you can do this. So I see a longer one there. Well, if you're trying to start your career, I don't know, if you want to do it, don't wait. We talked about the cybersecurity threats. particularly challenging cybersecurity project I've overcome. Oh my gosh, that would be a long one. And I still have Windows 95 mugs. So, actually, it does tie back to listening and trying to figure out the right language. Sometimes we can't all be ones and zeros. That is a very important skill. And okay, I think actually that I kind of screened through all of those, and I don't think that I hit them over here too. I think we got them all. I think we got everybody.
Yeah, I also answered like few questions from my end as well. Thank you so much, William. Thank you. It's always a pleasure hosting you. And yeah, thank you so much for taking us to the Caltech, program preview here, and also interesting insights about the cybersecurity world here as well. So thank you so much. Would you like to say something to folks here before we end the session?
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. It's great to see a lot of enthusiasm. We need more cybersecurity professionals. We need more people who are enthusiastic to secure systems. And I hope to see you on a future cohort.
Thank you so much. Thank you, William. Have a good day. For folks who have been waiting for the webinar certificate board, I'll be moving on to that now. But before that, we would love to know how was the session for you. So you can rate us out of 5 here, 5 being the highest if you are satisfied with the content of the session. So you can rate us, out of 5 here, 5 being the highest. I've launched the poll. Just let's give it a few seconds before we move on to the webinar poll for the full name here. And yeah, thank you so much for being an amazing audience. Thank you for your interesting questions here. I hope we were able to address your queries here. In case if you have questions even after the webinar, I've shared an email in the chat that is askus@simplilearn.net. You can also mail us there as well. So, we will help you out in case you have any questions about this program or even other programs as well. Also, I've shared an early access links to do a lot of these interesting webinars throughout the month. And you can basically check out the link which I've shared of these master classes on the chat, and you can basically register for them there as well. So, and also, as I mentioned in the starting of the session, that you can actually, the certificate which you'll be receiving, you will receive it within 24 to 48 hours, and you can share it with your network. People are already doing that. You can go and check out the link which I've shared in the chat. They're using the hashtag simplygrow and sharing with the network. I've shared the link on the chat. You can go and check out. You can follow it. You can support people who are already sharing and connect with them. So yeah, awesome. I see most of you have responded for the poll here. So last 5 seconds for the rating poll. How satisfied are you with the content of the session? Last 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for sharing your responses for the poll here. Now we will move on to the webinar full name certificate poll, where you'll have to submit your full name. So I'm just launching this poll, which will just ask you for your full name as you wish for it to appear on the webinar certificate. I've launched the poll right now. I'll give it 20 seconds. So you can go and quickly go and enter your full name there. And this is how the certificate looks like, which you can see on the screen. Folks are already sharing it, and hundreds of folks are already sharing it, and sharing their experiences, any insights from the webinar they have learned. They're also tagging Simplilearn. They're also tagging our expert. You can also go and tag William Bailey as well. And this will be basically for the webinar today, Unlock a World of Cyber Career Opportunities in 2024 with the Caltech Cybersecurity Bootcamp. And yeah, I think that is all. And I see most of you have already started responding, but let's give it 10 more seconds. So last 10 seconds for the certificate poll. Please make sure there are no grammatical errors. Make sure you enter your full name correctly, because that is what you'll be seeing on the certificate, which we'll be sharing with you within 24 to 48 hours post webinar.
Yeah, question. I think I saw a question here. It was asking about interns. Through the program, we don't place interns directly, but actually one of the things we do, we actually do practice interviews. I think is one of the things we do, and actually I bring up the concept of you're not just doing an assignment, you're contributing to a portfolio. So each one of those courses, we have modules at the end that will ask you to practice interview questions in teams with other members of your cohort. And so you get a chance to do some practice interviews, and you get to basically have answers for interview questions ready to go. And yes, I believe for US folks within the US, I believe we do have Top Resume, which is they'll help you with the resume. Of course, these days, you're gonna want to customize that resume. So, but it'll give you that starting point. And because, as I talked to one person once, when you see a job description, you want to try to match up your verbs and your language with that job description as much as you can without lying. And so you'll flip the words around. So you sort of have that boilerplate, and then you'll take that and you'll mark it up, to match their verbiage, because they'll have like a verb, and so you'll be like, okay, well, I have this. Okay, I can make it that verb, and then if it matches their verb, that should get you through the ATS a little bit easier. And that's where the talent inc, the Top Resume, is helpful to get that first resume, and then you could just continue that skill yourself. So you've got that resume assistance within the US, and within each of the modules, you've got the practice interviews.
Awesome. I see most of them have responded for the webinar poll. So last 5 seconds for the webinar full name poll. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Few of the questions I've gotten on chat, I've already responded, and also shared the link towards the program. Even after this webinar, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at askus@simplilearn.net. So thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much, William, for, another amazing program review here. And thank you, everyone, for being an amazing audience here. I hope to see you in upcoming cohorts for the program. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.